The view from the edge of England, where the granite of Land's End and its sentinel, the Longship's lighthouse, perpetually suffer the fury of the North Atlantic. A violent shore, where death is a regular consequence of passage. Even when the storms of winter give way to the placidity of summer, deception is in the air. For there is no protection to be had here, not for 5,000 miles. No landmass to fend off the elements all the way from Longships to the Americas. Gales arrive unimpeded at full gallop, even in summer. The Fastnet disaster happened in these waters in August. The final few square miles of England. Many people visit this place, very few live here. But just round the bay from Land's End, there is a huddle of houses seeking shelter under a cliff. In winter, the sun never touches the roofs of these dwellings. It's the furthest flung community in England, Sennon Cove. Life for the people of Sennon Cove is governed by the sea. They live by it, from it, and against it. There are less than 100 residents here, and most can tell you a story about the sea. But there are few happy endings, for when the northwesterlies blow directly into the face of Sennon, it has no defense. Men have died just trying to drag their boats to safety up the slipway. And trying to save others from the sea has been a way of life for the men of Sennon since the first lifeboat was stationed here in 1853. The thatched cottages with the pristine white walls may look good on postcards, but they do directly overlook one of the busiest and most hazardous sea lanes in the world. Sennon Cove is, quite simply, a dangerous place in which to live and work, and those who were born to it are under no illusions.
Be a hard old place in the winter to live. You've got the gales and big sea running.
I mean, that out there is both an enemy and a friend, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you can go out there and earn your living on a day like this. Another time you can go out there and lose your life if you aren't careful.
You ever been frightened out there?
Yeah.
Each year the sea demands its sacrifice, and it seems that no human endeavor can prevent it. Neither lighthouses, helicopters, coast guards, nor lifeboats. Indeed, those who try sometimes go to their own deaths along with the people they're trying to save, like the men of the Penlee lifeboat just round the coast. Each succeeding generation assumes without question the responsibility of manning the lifeboat, And this station is celebrated. It has saved more than 300 souls. Every boy in Sennen awaits his chance to join the crew. It is the symbol of manhood. Some dream of becoming cocks. Maurice Hutchins achieved it.
Very proud position in any Cornish village, though, isn't it? The position of cocks.
Well, some would regard it as that, I suppose.
You?
Proud to serve in the lifeboat service. I can't do much without the crew as well, you know. One-man boat.
And the names of the Sennen crew have not changed much down the years. Son usually follows father. And they are a particularly silent lot. They would rather their record spoke for them.
Tell me about the worst service that you've done.
Very difficult to specify the worst. I've done some bad ones. One trip when Mr. Bengelli was in charge of the boat, we went to a vessel called the Union Crystal. And that was a bad trip. He was awarded the silver medal on that trip. We all had certificates to mark the occasion as well.
What happened?
Well, it was a very dodgy old night, northwesterly storm, and pitch dark, not very pleasant to get out of Selling Cove in them conditions. Anyway, we went, we searched unsuccessfully for survivors. She sank with all hands as far as I know.
May I ask a personal question? Can I ask what a cox of a lifeboat gets paid for doing this sort of work? No.
No is a word often heard in Sennen. Some would say there are more closed doors in Sennen Cove than in most communities. Indeed, that is an opinion surprisingly shared by their fellow Cornishmen. There does seem to be an isolation in Sennen, which is not merely geographic. It is of the spirit. But the older generation of Sennen do tend to be more communicative than their heirs. Dick George, who served his time on the lifeboat as a young man, is affable by any standards. He makes lobster pots in the traditional manner, by hand from willow canes. And he knows how to use them.
Another one.
Another one. You brought me a bit of luck today. Jolly old weather.
How many is that now?
4. 4 get liquors.
Oh, what?
4 get liquors.
What are they?
Huge. I get them out, got them out. Job's your uncle.
What are they worth a pound now, those?
I think about £2 a pound. But you wouldn't buy them. You wouldn't buy them for no £2 a pound. Not in no restaurant. We were charging last year £8 for a portion, and you had to buy a bottle of wine, as far as I know of, into the nearest point of so-called civilization, Penzance.
How many men are lobstering out of Sennen these days?
From Sennen, actually 2 boats from Sennen. One is packed in because it's grim.
You seem to know where to find them, though, Dick. That experience.
Well, I've been at it now very many years, and along shore where we are now, this is where I live if I got the weather. Only it's a dirty, dangerous job, mind, if the weather to change quickly on you. You're going to have a knife hand in. And cut, don't hesitate. Get the hell out of it. Otherwise you'll be able to show, and that'll be that. You won't have to worry about no big ones and no small ones.
But you must be more vulnerable in a little rowboat. I mean, how far are we away from the cove now?
About half a mile. A mile to Land's End Point.
That can be a long way if rough weather comes.
Tell me. And therefore no screeching. But up to now I've managed to get in with the skin of my teeth. Otherwise I wouldn't be here telling the tale.
Fishing is naturally the principal industry of Sennan Cove. Most days, if the weather permits, they hunt the mackerel, an unusually cooperative fish. Maurice Hutchins, the Sennan cox, is also a fisherman. The average pay of a cox is not always sufficient to cover the needs of a family, so the RNLI allow him to supplement his income.
What if the lifeboat's called out right now? What do you do?
Well, I got a radio there. I'm in touch with radio. So you call me, tell me the boat's wanted. If I'm handy enough, I'll steam in to meet them. Jump aboard.
What do you have to be a lifeboatman? I mean, why do you do it?
Why do I sit out here in this boat catching mackerel?
Because that's profitable.
Well, lifeboating is profitable as well. A very rewarding job.
Not financially, surely.
Well, not very often financially, but if you save somebody's life, you've got a real good feeling inside you. Recent events on our station give us a really good feeling. Back September 81, we were called to an Icelandic boat. We managed to save 7 men that time. Well, that was a good many more than we saved at one time for quite some time. Sort of made up for all the hours we spent out here searching for some poor unfortunate who's lost his way or is overdue or whatever.
The Icelandic one was a particularly hazardous and heroic affair, wasn't it? I mean, you got a lot of medals for that.
The institution gave me a medal and the crew certificates, medal certificates.
What sort of medal did the institution give you?
They gave me a silver medal.
Aye.
Well,
what else did you get?
The Icelandic people, the Icelandic government gave us a medal each, which I think the world of. I thought that was, to give all hands a medal, that's quite something. And,
but in the public's eye, all lifeboatmen are heroes.
Yeah, I know that. It's not always the case, you know. I don't know what a hero is. I certainly aren't a hero.
Can I ask you now about the character of the men of Sennan? You see, even though the Cornish folk say you're, well, different here. In fact, they say you're difficult. And that's when they're being polite.
Well, I don't know.
Is that true?
I suppose they're a particular type of person, or they used to be.
What sort of person?
Independent. Law unto themselves, mainly.
Half a mile away, another member of the lifeboat crew, Philip Shannon, is hunting another fish, the pollock. It lurks in deep water, often weighs 10 times as much as a mackerel, but not always.
How you doing?
Got a fish coming. Small one.
Pollock?
Could be, Barry, yeah. Not very big anyway. I think we'll leave him go again.
What have you brought him back for?
We'll have him in... I'll come out and have him in 3 years' time, Barry, when he's a little bit bigger. He's a little too small to take.
You have one on Phil?
Yeah, he's got one more, Barry.
We're surrendered for the day.
See him coming up there?
He looks all right.
No, not very good, Barry.
Bit bigger?
Bit, Barry. He'll do for your tea.
What is it that makes a lifeboatman?
Oh, I don't know. I always enjoy it, enjoy the excitement, enjoy doing somebody a bit of good. Yeah. It's the way of life, I suppose. It's like you're brought up with it, you know.
Have you ever been afraid for your own life?
Oh, well, once or twice, Barry, yeah. You know, every man has a scare in and out. You don't go through without having a few scares.
Of all the elders of Sennon Cove, none is more visually striking than Cecil Roberts. Inevitably, he was once a regular member of the lifeboat crew. Second in command for a time.
Did you ever see a ship go down from the lifeboat?
Damage in several years. Oh, yes, down to that, wasn't it?
Did he pick up survivors?
Oh, took off several, you know, in their boats in the vessel there.
Did you ever get any medals or vellums?
No. But none in their days. The ones are common in their days. And besides, we don't get the wrecks now like used to. All the shipping got this radar on thing in fog. We had a good bit of fog here back along this summer. A lot of fog. Well, we've been lucky in days gone by if we never had a steamboat or two ashore in that time. But now they got radar and things, well, they know when they're striking land, don't they?
The days of the Cornish wrecker have long gone.
Yes, never come back. All through these, well, implements or what they call them, what they got today, that's all that is. See there, up there, the top in our beach, up there, the wreck up there, called the Trifolium, a Swedish bird. That went ashore here one Sunday morning in 1913. Ground say like hills. She went in and went right on that beach, and in 10 minutes she was all leveled. Everything was gone. Only see the masses and pieces of iron. I got iron barks from Sweden. 3 masses bark. Went to pieces in a few minutes.
What is it carrying?
Bricks, fire bricks, and clay.
Wasn't much good to the people of Sennon.
Oh, yes, it was. Fire bricks. They had a lot of ins houses made out of the fire bricks they had to carry there, and coal. Lovely house coal, old nub coal, and some.
Bounty from the sea is very sparse now. No more coal for Cecil's fire, just driftwood. Cecil Roberts was born in this house. So to his certain knowledge was his grandmother, and probably her grandmother too. The place has changed little down the years and has few luxuries, such as electricity. But Cecil is clearly content with his lot. He lives alone, except for his dog, and 9 cats.
See, my grandfather was drowned. Up here, you know where Cape Cornwall is? Yeah. Up here, Cape Cornwall, up back at the vessel went ashore in 1886, I think. And they went up there in one of those crabbers, there was boats here then, you know, bigger boats. And they went over 4 or 5 of them, and they lowered one of the boats from the steamboat. She was called the Malta.
What had happened to her?
She went ashore in the fog. The Malta.
She was a wreck?
Yes, a total wreck.
So your grandfather was one of the old Cornish wreckers?
That's right. And they went up there, and she had a general cargo aboard, so they loaded down the fishing boat, took what they could. They wasn't satisfied with that. They loaded one of the boats from out the steamboat, and they loaded her down with the cargo, you know, what they had on board, and they're just coming down a shoal out there off Cape Cornwall called Great Ledge, a rock. And as it's coming, I was sailing in the days, you know. And as it's sailing down, so this shoal broke over on them and upset the boat. The other four was picked up with the other boat, but the boat, the ship's boat, when she upset, came up and broke my grandfather's neck.
Any more of your family died at sea like that?
Lost two in 1921 or 22. They went out herring fishing one Friday morning. And the herrings was plentiful and they overloaded the boat. And a strong breeze came up from the southeast, which was brought out of the bay, and so much herring in her, in the boat, you see, that she sank under them. Sank under them.
And they died?
Oh, they drowned, yeah, drowned.
Off with their knickers and off with their brows and off with their bonny gringos.
There is another side to Sennen, the summer side. Day trippers pour down the hill into the cove by the hundred. But they head for the beach, and that is a separate place, situated well away from the harbour and houses. It is an attractive beach, but that too has another side. The turbulence in the sea off this coast regularly creates riptides, which endanger life. Head lifeguard, John Bryant, can never relax.
Well, I would say it's as dangerous as any beach in Great Britain. The sheer fact that it picks up as much swell as anywhere. I mean, it's right on the tip of England, and it gets all the first Atlantic swell. It's got to be as dangerous as anywhere. I mean, we've got 4 lifeguards here, 5 months of the year, and we're kept very busy all the time.
On average, how many incidents a week do you get at peak season?
I would say 15 to 20.
A week?
A week, yes. And I mean, we had 11 on Tuesday. Severe incidents we hopefully don't happen, because we get to them, prevention is better than cure. Obviously, you'd prefer to get to someone before they're turning blue. And we'd like to get to them just as they realise they're in trouble. If we had a rescue here 2 years ago, involving a helicopter and a dinghy, where 2 of the people were a few minutes away from drowning, and it was a matter for us to get out and support them until help arrived in the form of the helicopter. You see, it's very calm today, it's deceptive, it looks nice, but when you get a 6 to 8 foot swell here with an onshore wind, it's, you know, it's evil.
John Bryant's point is swiftly proven. A canoeing accident. And it's hospital for this holidaymaker. Frank Creasy of Sennan is one of a new generation of lighthouse keepers. He arrives for his month's spell of duty on longships in style. But it was not always so.
Lands End Coast Guard, radio check, coming longships, over.
Lands End Coast Guard, longships replying. A very good afternoon to you there. Not such a bad one now. Anyway, yes, you're coming through nicely loud and clear on both. Thank you for the test, and how'd you get me, please? Over.
Longships Lands End, you are also loud and clear both channels. Out, coming more well, over.
Domestic life on longships. One thing that modern communication and technology cannot change is the isolation of a lighthouse keeper. The helicopter may have revolutionized the transport of keepers and supplies. But life on a lighthouse remains the same claustrophobic existence in the round.
That's all right. Got another one there, sorry.
Right, get these off.
Like serving in an upended submarine. The link between Sennan Cove and Longships Lighthouse has been unbroken for more than 200 years. Before the helicopter, men and supplies had to be taken by sea. And too many men to count have perished in the 2,000 yards from Sennan's slipway to the front door of Longships.
It's been going on, well, since 1776, when the Methodists first owned the Longships Lighthouse, and then Trinity House took it over in 1860. Imagine coming out in a rowing boat with the supplies on. It's rather a hairy situation down on the landing.
Any loss of life?
There's normal keeper's been lost here, yeah, a few years back.
A keeper was lost here?
Yeah, there's been about 3 lost off this station alone. That's in the records.
How?
Well, the last one here was a keeper called Cuttings. He was washed off the south landing. He just disappeared. He was down on the south landing and the sea just took him off. Never came up since.
See, there's a helicopter coming now.
Yeah, the helicopter brings in our bags of water. There's 90 gallons to a bag.
So everything is done by helicopter, men and all the materials, your water?
Yeah, well, water comes out with a helicopter now, but it can come out via the Trinity House ships as well. He'll drop this on top of the helipad. He'll drop that now and he'll go off. The keeper not involved until he's cleared the helipad of dropping water, and then we'll go up and connect up, and that water runs down to the base where we have a well, and we'll fill our well up from the water that's brought out in the bags from Sennan itself.
Now tell me about the very worst time that you've had on this lighthouse, because it is one of the most perilous lighthouses of the lot, isn't it?
Yeah, this one is, yeah. Us on the wharf take some really heavy sea off the North Atlantic as it comes into this sort of gully. Coming up the English Channel, and in '79 when the Fastnet race disaster was on, we took some real bad weather over the top of the lighthouse then. It came right over the top of where we're standing now. We lost a couple of helipads off the top here, and I mean this is 113 feet high, so the sea comes up a fair old way up here.
This must be one of the worst coasts in the world.
This is one of the worst coasts in the world, yeah.
Have you ever seen a ship wrecked around here?
Yes. Yeah, I saw, we had a shipwreck here on the Kelbottom Rock 2 years ago. That was a trawler that went on, and 10 men had to be rescued off it. It was just over the Kelbottom Rock, which is that one just over there. The trawler ran right up on top of it, and the Sennan Cove lifeboat and the Penleigh boat had to be called to its assistance.
How did you manage to do that with your light flashing away?
They were mistaken. They thought we were the Wolf Rock Lighthouse instead of the Longships.
To outsiders, Sennon Cove seems to present a sturdily united front, but there are curious divisions within the community not readily apparent. There is one outsider, however, with a privileged view. Frank Keeble and his wife settled here 10 years ago, and he became Assistant Honorary Secretary of the lifeboat.
We became very aware of that when we first started coming down here, that you're either a cover or somebody who was born in the church town at the top of the hill, and there's a division between them. There is a story told of one gentleman from the Cove, who shall be nameless, who in Bombay was told that during the war that a native of Sennon was also in the city. Would he like to meet him? And when the first gentleman was told who the second gentleman was, he didn't want to see him because he came from up top and the other one came from down below.
Dick, are you a Sennon Cover?
No, I'm from Vellandrather, what you call a Vellandrather. We was classed as foreigners in Sennon Cove, though, shall we say now, probably my ancestors came from Sennon Cove.
Where were you?
That's how they were clannish.
Where exactly were you born?
The bottom house of the valley, within a stone's throw from the sea.
Well, doesn't that make you a Cover?
No. No, they still look upon us as foreigners.
Where are the distinctions? I mean, where do you have to be born to be a Cover?
Anywhere under the Gurgo.
Under the what?
Under the Gurgo.
What's that?
The Gurgo is a pathway that used to run through Mariah's Lane, named after my granny. And then the ruins of the old cottage is still there. Well, those that lived below the Gurgo was classed as Covers. But if you lived on top of that, there was classed as overillers. And we was classed as sea fleas, she was saying there were sand fleas up in the valley. That's true. That's true. And they went to sea together, saying now, and helped one another, went to war, all that sort of thing, merchant service. But there was that there little bit of difference, if you understand my meaning. It's like certain classes of Indians. And you know, the old tribal Indian tribes. It was like that. And some of them today will still refer to you as a Vellandrather. And sometimes that would start an argument, so you know, and if I suppose if the Vellandrather thought he stood a better chance than the other man that said that to him, he'd up and walloped him. If you had a daughter, I had a son, even if they were cousins, they weren't allowed to marry over no ale. No farmers weren't allowed, so I've always been told to come from up on Island down to that cove up for a drink. Now, no fishermen weren't supposed to go up to that first and last pub. They're supposed to murder a young farmer that came from Buryan.
Are you a true Sennon Cover?
$64 question, that. Yeah, I'm a Sennon Cover.
Where were you born?
Born just under the hill in Sennon Cove.
Under the Gurgo?
Well, that's what the old folks call it, yeah.
So what are you?
Overiller. Yeah. Years ago, this was a bit of conflict between overillers and underillers, but as we are now, we're all one big happy family.
Yes, well, in my boyhood days down here, when I was a boy going to school, there was a good many Cove boys. Boys here in the Cove, you know. Now, we Cove used to go to school up there on top of the hill, up to Sennon School. Well, we used to fight the overillers.
The what?
Fight the overiller boys.
It's grown up as a separate community from the rest, or even the rest of West Penwith. The people here are completely different from those of St Just and St Buryan and St Leven.
You see, I know men in St Ives and Penzance who just don't know anyone in Sennon. They know people in other communities, but not this.
They don't get around, this is true. I don't know why that is. Of course, with modern communications, it has become more common for people to at least go to Penzance or to Truro. But there are a number of local people whom I know who just do not do that. I mean, if you say, when did you last go to Truro? Well, they'd probably say, well, 5 years ago.
Even the younger ones?
Even the younger ones, yes.
But for one of the older ones, Cecil Roberts, there is a certain well-trodden path out of Sennon, along the cliff to the pub at Land's End.
Get a move on.
He knows full well that the impact of his arrival by donkey will have tourists competing for the privilege of buying him a pint.
Evening, my dear. Nice day? Lovely, beautiful day. Cheerio. And
How long have you been in Sennan?
How long have I been in Sennan?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my dear, I've been in Sennan, I suppose, 75 years this November coming. I've been coming in this hotel. It's over 50 years. Where you come from?
From Shropshire.
Shropshire? Oh, you were down here in holidays, was?
Yes.
Shropshire, eh?
Have you ever been to Shropshire?
No bloody fear.
You haven't?
No, I haven't been no Shropshire.
Have you got some family?
Me? I'm a man of sensible sense. I don't believe in looking after and caring for another man's daughter. If they're to bring them up, let them look after them and care for them. I ain't. I never married in my life. I never want to. I wouldn't have no trouble with them.
You'd rather have a donkey?
I'd rather have a donkey.
Would you like a drink, sir?
Certainly. That's what I'm here for, drinking purposes in a minute. I am an old donkey driver, the best one on the line. And no other donkey that can compare with mine. Oh, gee, way, gee, beck and gee, woe, and the whole shout array. For the trouble they are but few. No donkey on this road can beat Jerusalem Hill.
There may be minor differences simmering gently just under the surface of Sennan, but there is one thing special to this community which, if threatened or even inquired about too closely, will unite them to the point of open hostility. The mullet. That's a particularly fine fish, which for generations has occasionally swarmed profitably into Sennan waters. It is also a troublesome fish, and it hasn't been around for 2 or 3 years.
The mullet are very, very rare fish to find, and it's not a normal occurrence at all. A watch is kept for them, but very, very frequently the watch is in vain and nothing happens at all. They do come in, and I'm told they have come in the past, years ago, in very, very great quantities indeed, but I have never seen it myself.
You've been here whilst it happened?
I've been here whilst it happened, but I've never seen it happen at all. Strangers are not welcome, which is probably why I wouldn't have been welcome had I mean, I would still regard myself as a stranger, obviously.
You mean if the mullet came in, you...
I would stay away.
You would avoid the beach?
I would avoid the beach.
This is their business, it's nothing to do with me. And although I've seen it operate, you'll have to ask the Sennan lads about this mullet catching.
Well, there is one thing that Sennan's quite famous for.
What's that?
Occasionally, about once a year, the mullet come in.
I don't know nothing about them. I don't know nothing about them.
No?
No.
What sort of fish is that then? What do they look like?
What are you going to talk about it for? Things are watered, my friend.
They don't like people watching them catch the mullet?
Well, not don't know, I don't know much about that. But there's only one thing about it is, if it's strangers, local people don't mind local people. But when bloody strangers come around here and want to know the ins and outs, well, listen to them. You never know the ins and outs about they come here. I don't know the ins and outs about they, what they do and what they aren't, but I always want to know ours.
Why is it that whenever I mention the word mullet around here, people almost have a fit?
We've had a lot of trouble in the past. That's why, I guess.
What sort of trouble?
Well, other people, some years ago, other people tried to come here and catch our traditional amount. Well, we've got a seine net of our own, and if we're going to allow other people to come in and jump in on the game, well, that's doing us out of our living, isn't it? You can't keep what's yours in your own community. Just while you pack up first as last.
Have other fishermen tried to come in from other areas to get them?
Oh, yes. Oh, my God, eh? We had a old game down here. Oh, but a dozen more years ago. Oh, yes, yes, men from Pa, you know?
Pa?
Yes.
Where's that?
Oh, up round St. Ursula. Up further up Cornwall. Further up Cornwall.
What happened?
Well, they come here one day up there topping the beach, you know. And we was watching the shoal melted up there, but they wouldn't come down far enough for we to catch it, you see. And they came there on Sunday, and they had a boat behind the car and a trailer and a net, you know.
They trailed in a boat and a net?
Yes, bought a deer, you see. Well, we saw men seed them up there going to work. Well, we went up and upset all the bloody boat and smashed the boat. And you know, they took the deer what they had, and off they went as quick as they can.
The event is well remembered in Pa, too, particularly by those involved. Indeed, it has a permanent place in modern Cornish folklore.
There's only 5 of us there that particular day. We had to look over the side, and one of the boys said, God, he said, there's a lovely little bunch of mullet there, look. So we decided to follow this bunch of mullet, and we was walking down the beach. We had to climb over a reef of rocks, and all of a sudden this bunch of mullet went right into the big main body of fish. Well, we was told afterwards they estimated over 60 ton. He was coming back to get the net, and one of the boys happened to look up on the cliff and say, sure, look at all these people coming. So one of the boys, Bill Calhoun, said, they went out for a Sunday afternoon walk, and they were all right. Yeah, they was out for a Sunday afternoon's walk, all right.
I said, them fishermen be a look at one, especially the man on the head, the old timer. You could tell the way he was walking. He had a fisherman's jersey and all on, you see, so. Anyway, they come over to us. And, well, what they wouldn't going to do with us, but...
You just can't repeat what they say.
The old fisherman's son, he took a knife out of his pocket, and he said, looked at his father, and he said, I'm going to slash that net to pieces. Heave the boat down over the rock, or leave the boat out and heave him out in the sea, and he said, I'm going up and tip that land, that their jeep down over.
He did cut a couple of meshes out of her net and the foot ropes. Oh, our man, Hardy, he got a little bit headed up a bit. He picked up the anchor of our boat and said, you carry on and slash your net. He said, I'll beat you over the head with this one.
Not true.
Wasn't true.
My knowledge of it is that they were going to, and one of the power men who was one of the older of the gang, he said he didn't want it cut because they hadn't paid for it. So they were told, well, as long as they got it out of the cove, they would be allowed to go away with it as it came. And that was it. There's no damage done other than that the trailer was upset with the net on it.
He said, if you had your net around that bunch of mullet, he said, we'd have cut your ropes, and he said, it would all finish up out on the long ships, your boat, and he said, you party would have been following them.
Were you frightened?
Frightened? I was frightened out of me wits. You see, we was only 5, and one of the old fellas was nearly 70, so there's only 4 young men there, and against 30 or 25 of those. I'm convinced that if that was over 100 years ago, they would hang me from the nearest cliff.
They say they were frightened to death.
No good doing things by halves, Barry. If you're going to lay the law down yourself, you've got to make sure you make it stick.
Couldn't you just ask them to leave?
Do you think they would have gone? No way. You had to be very stern with them.
When we got back to Par, we mentioned it to the rest of the fishermen back Par, and they all decided that they would go down Sannon and see what was all about.
And then they said they'd come back again, And you can have a fight now. You know, well, it can be a mutiny in no way speaking. But they didn't come under the hill. They didn't come under that hill.
Did you see this?
Damn right, one of them was in it. I've seen it. That in it, you had to stand by your own ground, didn't you? You had to look after your own interests and own thing, huh? If I can see foreigners come here and take bread at your mouth after you've been there waiting for them for days.
We took a force of about 30 chaps down there, you know. They was pretty good chaps, too. Very handy with their good old fist, if they mind to. So we thought, well, we'll go and have a go with the Senate men and see whether it's worth anything at all.
What prevented the war was the Penzance police force. They wouldn't have no violence whatsoever.
The first thing they said was to come over to we and said that they're there to keep the Queen's peace, and without any hesitation, he was going to put one of us inside if we started any row.
What rank was he?
Oh, he's the super. Oh, yeah, say, hell of a great chap, too, he was. With these tenant blokes there, they was the ones that were causing trouble because they was hauling and shouting like, you know, really kicking up Mer Blue there. In fact, the police had to tell them 2 or 3 times to shut up.
Have the men of Senan ever taken against other fishermen?
French fishermen, I believe, yes.
What have they done to them?
Yes, I heard they thrown stones down on top of French boats before and drove them away.
Thrown them from where?
Oh, up on the cliff. Frightened the life of them out.
Well, they seem to think that little bay of theirs is theirs and nobody else is allowed there. Because we was told, or the Sinai's boys, it's just boys has talked about them, that they was never allowed into that cove.
Yeah, now, the men of Par are still somewhat bitter about this incident. Even today.
Tough, isn't it?
And they say hard things about the men of Senan.
I dare say they do. Nevertheless, they haven't caught any mullet in Senan.
The darkness will not always last.